Recording in progress.
Good morning, everyone. We will go ahead and get started this morning. A copy of the Open Meetings Act is located on the north wall of the legislative chambers as well as or on our county board website. There is also an automatic external defibrillator on the back wall of the legislative chambers. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll begin with the agenda for the Douglas County Board of Equalization. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Marine Boyle is absent. Commissioner Kavanaugh? Commissioner Friend?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Commissioner Morgan?
Here.
Commissioner Rogers?
Here.
Madam Chair.
Present. Item A, approval of the minutes of the Board of Equalization meeting held Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021. And item B, call for a meeting and set Tuesday, December 14th, 2021 as a date for hearing on certified assessment corrections reflecting the addition of omitted property to the tax rolls or increased value on property. Is there a motion to approve A and B?
So moved. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers, second by Commissioner Morgan. Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Citizen comments. Is there anyone in the chamber or on Zoom wishing to speak to the Board of Equalization about an item not on the agenda?
Good morning, Council. I'm Paul Bellinger, 10215 Nutbag Lane or West Center Road. I wanted to show you the pictures of what was driving by our house this weekend 27 times. This seems to be acceptable. Sure.
There we go.
Sure.
Is that or not it?
I don't know how it works.
Commissioner Garcia could look at it and see if that would be
I got it. It's
acceptable.
we put it on, that we should be able to get it now.
Garcia, would that be acceptable in your neighborhood?
Roger, I can get
Sir, is this for the Board of Equalization?
I can get it.
This is to equalize my voice to the mayor's voice. This is what happens when we run a truck route through a residential neighborhood. This is what I pay taxes for. You wouldn't have this in front of your house, would you, Mike friend? You wouldn't allow this in your front yard. Why is it in my front yard? Why is it that a dump truck 40 miles an hour can spew garbage and litter all over my neighborhood? 600 of my neighbors in James Kavanaugh's district, in Don Rowe's district, in Brinker Harding's district got to eat all the asbestos tile off the floor of this residence that came by our house. How about the other truck that's here? You know, how about if we look at that? This isn't acceptable. I mean, the city of Omaha has 2 helicopters, and we can't find the dump truck going 40 miles an hour past my neighborhood. My neighbors that now have to have respiratory therapy on our taxpayer, our city and our county dime. You know, the people at 42nd Street that work in the large building there. These are the people that they're going to have to, you're gonna have to allocate money for me to be able to breathe, because Turley Trucking didn't care about the people that were standing on the side of the road, or the people that lived on West Center Road in your district, James.
Okay.
Right? Nobody cares. My taxpayer dollars, when I came here with a petition last time and I said, just stop the trucks running through my neighborhood. 11,000 commercial vehicles run through. Is that acceptable for you, Mr. Garcia? Commissioner Morgan, is that acceptable for you?
I'd like to see the pictures.
Here, may I approach?
No, just, we'll show them
No?
later.
Okay. Well, maybe what will happen is KETV or somebody will actually run the pictures. Maybe the state patrol would come out and stop the dump trucks. They shake our house. I pay taxes to people that can't get the job done. Here's a perfect picture. Don Rowe has yet to put any of these people in jail, but yet Mr. Whirlwind of the city of Omaha can come out and give me a citation for the stuff that I put in my front yard to stop this from coming on my property. Not okay. So here it is, February 25th. I got a court date. I got a whole trial for noise abatement. Vacate the truck route. How about just put the lights in my neighborhood to flashing red? How about just do that? 45,000 people pass my front yard. Imagine that every day, the amount of trash that comes in my front yard that I've got to pick up, that my neighbors have to pick up. Our Omaha police at $150 million couldn't find the 27 trucks coming past my front door, and more importantly, my neighbor's front door. You wouldn't allow it at your front door. Mike friend, you wouldn't allow it at your front door. I'd like to enter this document in for the meeting's minutes today. This is a problem. It needs to be taken care of.
Thank you.
You know, when a 5-year-old can stand in my front yard and can look at this picture and determine that there's something wrong, a 5-year-old isn't wrong. Larry Storer can figure this out. Why can't we in government figure this out? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I apologize if I'm just passionate for my community.
I understand. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak to Board of Equalization about an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move to resolutions. We have 3 resolutions. Is there a motion to approve and adjourn?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers, seconded by Commissioner Friend. Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Commissioner Kavanaugh is absent. Motion passes 5-0.
We will move to the agenda for the Douglas County Board of Commissioners. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Boyle is absent. Commissioner Kavanaugh is presently absent. Commissioner Friend?
Here.
Commissioner Garcia?
Here.
Commissioner Morgan? Commissioner Rogers?
Here.
Madam Chair.
Present. Item A, approval of minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held Tuesday, November 23rd, 2021. Minutes for the pre-board meeting on Monday, November 22nd, 2021 are also available on our website. Item B, approval of the claims submitted for payment process through Tuesday, December 7th, 2021. Is there a motion to approve A and B? Motion by Commissioner Rogers, seconded by Commissioner Morgan. Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Now, as some of you may know, we've had a lot of changes.
Could those on Zoom please mute yourselves?
Let's see what people have to say about that.
You might.
Commissioner Kavanaugh has rejoined us. Motion passes 6-0.
Next is the consent agenda, items A through P. Is there a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers, seconded by Commissioner Friend. Any questions or comments? Please vote. Oh, your light's not on, sorry. There it is. Got it. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, there is a measure on here between Douglas County and Cox Cable. And I think Jerry Leahy, I saw Jerry Leahy here earlier, had a quick question about the extension of the existing Cox Cable agreement through December 31st, 2031, which is a 10-year extension. I don't know if Jerry's here, someone can.
Jerry Leahy, there is a question about the Cox item on the agenda. Could you please come forward?
Good morning, Commissioners. Jerry Leahy, Public Property.
Morning.
I couldn't hear up there
Okay,
quite.
sorry.
Commissioner, you
I
have
had
a
a
question?
question,
Yes.
Mr. Leahy.
Oh,
Regarding item G, the extension of the existing Cox Cable agreement through December 31st, 2031. A couple things. What is the agreement? I mean, I think a lot of us have Cox Cable, cable TV, whatever. And then a 10-year extension. Why are we doing a 10-year extension?
well, let me back up to when Cox Cable came to Omaha in 1981. And they did 2 franchise agreements, one with the city of Omaha. But then there needed to be coverage outside the jurisdiction of the city of Omaha. So that was the reason that they approached Douglas County. So this is now our 3rd extension. We have shrunk because of annexations, but it does generate revenue for the county. And it's a fixed revenue amount of 5% of gross revenue of Cox Cable in our jurisdiction. And the same would be for the city of Omaha.
So this is an extension of a franchise agreement,
Yes,
right, for 10 years.
yes.
Is there any adjustment in the compensation of that franchise agreement from the current franchise agreement?
There's the restriction on the, there's no room to negotiate. It's a fixed, it's a federal communication act that sets the fees at 5%. So there's really no room to negotiate.
Right. It's the same as the
It's the
agreement
same.
that we've been operating on.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
that. We have a resolution in I, and I just wanted to make the public aware
Thank
of the fact that we're ratifying the new general assistance guidelines with increases in the amount of rental assistance. I don't know if Ms. Suick is here from general assistance, but I just wanted to make people aware that there are going to be additional benefits available to people who are in need in Douglas County going forward as a result of this resolution. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for the consent? There has been a motion and a second. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Next, we have a resolution, a recognition, a resolution to honor Supervisor Shirley Rice for her dedicated service to Douglas County, and more specifically, the youth and families served by the Douglas County Youth Center. Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brad Alexander, Douglas
Morning.
County Youth Center. Shirley has worked with me at the Youth Center since 1993. She served for 28 years. I love Shirley. Her compassion, passion, empathy is really, for the kids and their families, is just an example for us all. We rode over here and all she could talk about is, I'm going to come back after this and I'm going to go around and I'm going to see this kid and that kid and this kid. I mean, it just never ends. And Commissioner Borgerson, you're about to do jumping jacks because she is going to be our next grandmother. And it's going to be wonderful. The people at the Youth Center did a really nice job of putting together a celebration for Shirley. And one of the things that Shirley mentioned at the celebration was how much she appreciated Rondi and Wayne back there and their guidance and support, and that they'd made her better. And I didn't say it then, Shirley, but what I was thinking when those words came out of your mouth is that you've truly made all of us better. And I just can't thank you enough for your service. Her husband, Mike, is right there. And, you know, when you work in a 24/7 operation, the families sometimes, you just kind of take those things for granted, right? That you got to juggle around Thanksgivings and Christmas and holidays. And so, Mike, thank you so much for sharing Shirley with us. She truly is just a blessing. I know she has a few words that she wants to say, but
bear with me. I am the Youth Center private. I try to drop it my hat.
But
they're good to us.
Thank you so much, Shirley. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And I couldn't have done it without Brad. And I remember years ago, when I used to always felt like I wanted to, when I was having difficulties making sometimes decisions or disciplining, whatever, and I would go and talk with Brad, and Brad said, Shirley, that's why we hired you, because you are a good person. And you are good from your heart. You are you. Just stay who you are. That's why we hired you, because of who you are. And I always remember that. And then I have Rondi, and sometimes when I made a few mistakes, and I would cry, and Rondi said, Shirley, we're going to make you strong. You're going to be such a strong supervisor until you're going to rock it. And I'm like, okay, Rondi, I'm going to make you guys proud of me. And I feel that these 28 years, I try to make a positive difference in the juveniles' lives, and as well as staff. I was fair. I love the children, no matter what crimes they've done in life. I didn't judge them. I wasn't there to judge them. I was there to be an advocate for them, to be their grandma. I started off their girlfriend. I became their mom. I ended up being their grandma. And I honor that. To me, that's such a privilege to carry that honor of a grandma. Since I am a grandma, I have over 100 and some grandchildren. They were all my grandchildren, and I love them all. And I will miss them, and that's probably the hardest thing about leaving. Like I told Brad and Rondi, I love the kids unconditionally and how they love me. And I thank the county, because you all been good to me. Even when I was going through hard times or with my losses or whatever, everybody just supported me and just like, hey, it's all good, and gave me the support and the love, and I thank you all. The county, for 28 great years. And I will be the grandma, and I might just come back and be sitting up there with you guys.
Yay.
Okay? I'm just kidding. But anyway, thank you all. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have one more thing. You're going to see our recidivism drop now because we actually have kids that violate and do things to come back to the youth center.
Oh,
just,
yes.
just to spend time with her.
Yeah,
So
that's one
our
more thing I
recidivism-
wanted to mention
Our
too.
recidivism is going to go down.
Right. Well, let me mention that one more thing. We let kids, we release them, and they're gone. And when 3 or 4 days they come back, and I'm like, where are you back? They're like, Miss Rice, to be honest with you, we get more love here. We get our snacks. You made our healing lotion. That's a story in itself, but I'll always, kind of bless them with the healing lotion. They're like, you all gave us love, whether it was tough love or what. You guys gave us love here. And we get more love here than we got at home. That's why we always came back, and to be with you guys. And you can tell, because they were just as happy when OPD bring them in. They're like, they want to come back to the youth center. And it's like, so we're doing something positive with these kids, and I think that's our reward, because, we don't judge them, and we are there to just love them and care for them, because some of them we'll probably never see again in life. So while they're with us, we're not paid to judge them. We're just paid to take care of them for their safety and their welfare and to love them. And I will go to heaven knowing that I loved every last one of them. And I sleep good at night because I was their grandma. And you know how grandmas are.
Mm-hmm.
We could always give them back to their parents, but when they're with us, we can spoil them, right?
That's right.
And that's what I've done.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, just a minute. We have a couple of comments. Commissioner Kavanaugh?
Thank you. I just wanted to say thanks for all your many years of public service. The children are our future, as they say, and you have made an investment of your life in making that future better. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Sure.
Enjoy your retirement, Grandma.
I'm enjoying it. I am. Get plenty of sleep.
Good,
no
good.
more 5:15 getting up.
You've earned it. You've
I
earned
think
it.
I have. Thank you.
Shirley, we do have a resolution, and we will present that to you after we vote on it. But really what you have said are the words that should have been written in this resolution, because you are the highest example of a county employee and working for the betterment of our children, who, again, as you expressed, come to us at a time of need, and you have provided that. And honest to gosh, I could not be more excited, because before Brad said that, I was going to ask you if you would consider coming back to be our foster grandparent for the youth center, because I know that not only because of your words do you get something out of it, the kids are absolutely blessed to have that unconditional love at a time that they need it the most. And so on behalf of the board, we could not thank you more for your dedication and your service and the love that you have given our kids that visit us at the youth center. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Stay there for 1 second while we vote. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a motion by Commissioner Rogers, second by Commissioner Morgan? Please vote. And if you would, could you come around and we'll give you the resolution and thank you personally. Yep.
Motion passes 6-0.
Yep. Just walk right around in the front and shake everybody's hand.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. This is such an honor. This is like
Leo is wanting to see if I can grab a picture of her after.
Thank you, Shirley, for everything.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Definitely.
Have a
one
good
lined up
time.
I am going to have a good time. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I am. So far, so good. Enjoying it. Okay.
Yeah.
I couldn't hardly sleep last night. Like, oh God, what do I do? My husband said, just make it short and sweet.
That's
And you
right.
know,
And you
we're
did.
gonna give you a kiss.
And you did. Thank you again, Shirley.
Did you want a picture, Dan?
You know what? Yeah, let's, everybody come in front here and get a picture of it.
They're gonna want a picture with you, Shirley.
Oh, okay. Me and my tears.
Come down here, Mike.
Okay, just come right over here. Okay. Michael?
No, you're good.
I'm good.
Brad, you want to get in there? There you go. I appreciate it. Let's get it.
All right, I think I got everybody in. All right, let's see. Okay, 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. And 3, 2, 1.
And let me get one, if you could look this way. 5, 4, 3, 2. Thank you, folks.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay. Okay, see you again. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Oh, we all remember you. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Merry Christmas.
Try to make me warm.
Well, I would love to adjourn on that note, but we have, unfortunately, more business. With that, citizen comments. Is there anyone in the chamber or on Zoom wishing to speak to the Board of Commissioners about an item not on the agenda?
Good morning.
Morning.
Larry Storr, 5015 Lafayette Avenue, Omaha, 68132. Today I'd like to read something in honor of all those that gave their lives at Pearl Harbor. I'm kind of surprised there wasn't a resolution on the agenda for that. But I'd like to read this. Printing it out at the last minute, there might be a couple of words that I mess up because it didn't show up. But today is a day for remembering those who gave their lives in the service to our republic. At previous times, even prior to 1620, when the Pilgrims sailed to America to escape tyranny and religious persecution, etc., and began an experiment in self-government, which failed because of a socialistic attempt to make everything even and distributed evenly, or communal living, as we call it. But it led to free enterprise, ultimately, and to self-direction, and to our independence from tyranny, once again. And to our unique compound constitutional republic, not a representative democracy or democracy. Many of those forms of government have gone by the wayside and are currently struggling today. Marxism, Islam, and one worldism are the current major threats to our culture. These forms of government are antithetical to the founding of our country on religious principles and have no place in our culture, our history, except when we were founded on Christian principles and our Constitution, which is unique in the world. But we do practice non-denominational freedom of religion. The current national debates and, in my opinion, propaganda coming out of people like Black Lives Matters, ISIS, CARE, AMI, the tri-faith concept, and CRT philosophies that we hear from a lot of people, a lot of leaders, even in the chambers of our civics government, state on down. These are actually a dishonor to all who have gone before and will be going again, probably very soon, for our brand of freedom. So I call on the Douglas County Board, the Omaha City Council, the school boards, and the state legislature, etc., all of our congressional representatives also, to reaffirm your oaths of office and to lend an ear not to the associations of communities this and communities that, national community associations, even local community partners and columnists and universities with their best practices that get the ear of our representatives rather than the citizens' ears when we are attempting to petition our government at the podium. We are restricted. They are not. You represent us, not them. Lest you forget the Pledge of Allegiance. Those are not meaningless words. So you can do no less than to honor and hold up for others to see that the brave patriots and families who have given or do risk the last full
1
measure
minute.
to do less is tantamount to the cancel culture craze that is sweeping this country, and it has to be stopped. Please insert this into the record of testimony on this day, Tuesday, December 7th, 2021, 80 years after the day of Pearl Harbor, as part of the resolutions that may come in the future. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak to the Board of Commissioners about an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move to presentations. We have our COVID-19 update and COVID-19 vaccination plan update presented today by Ms. Carol Allensworth from our Health Department.
Right, here's that. Okay. And then I can minimize that so you don't have to deal with it. You good? Yep. Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I think I'll take this off. You can hear me better that way. I hope you all had a great Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And that you've got some good plans coming up for the holidays. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about where we're sitting with COVID-19. Where we're sitting with COVID-19. Our risk of transmission in Douglas County is still high. Our cases per 100,000 based on a 7-day rolling average are sitting at 405.4. That's in comparison to 284 right before Thanksgiving. And when you take a look at our 7-day rolling average number of new cases, we're sitting at 330.9. And that's in comparison to 231.7 before Thanksgiving. Now, when you take a look at what we're seeing overall, as of yesterday, the total number of cases was 95,239 with 868 deaths. Unfortunately, I just heard today that 477 new cases were reported this morning. So our total just went up to 95,710, which will be reflected on the dashboard later today. The last time we had that many cases reported in any given day was in December of 2020. So our cases last week increased by 54%. So you can see that in this graph here in the center. You can see the steep increase that we took. So we had 2,290 cases last week in comparison to 1,482 the week before. This is the highest weekly total we've seen since January of 2021. The highest proportion of cases right now has flipped since the last time I talked to you. We're seeing the highest proportion in 20 to 34-year-olds at 26.3%, followed by those 0 to 19 at 25%. And if you take a look at this graphic, you will see that it's pretty much of an increase when you take a look at 20 to 39-year-olds. That's where we're seeing some pretty steep increases. As of yesterday, the number of cases that have been reported in Douglas County schools for the last 14 days was 465. That is a rate of 4.2 students per 1,000. One of the things I did want to bring to your attention this morning is that for those schools who have been universally masking since the beginning of the school year, we have seen clusters in those schools, about 29 of them, and 18 classroom closures. However, in schools that are doing optional masking, we have seen 54 clusters and 44 classroom closures. So just something I wanted you to be aware of this morning. As far as hospitalizations are concerned, I think the key thing that we all need to keep in mind is that our hospitals are full. And we're sitting at 293 hospitalizations as of last night. 3 of them are pediatric with 15 suspected. So that'll probably be added to our total today. And that's the highest number of hospitalizations, again, since December of 2020. There are 50 vents that are being utilized for COVID patients. And again, that's the highest since December. Our med-surg capacity, we're sitting at an 85% occupancy. And that really varies even during the day. It varies from day to day and even during the day. Our ICU is at 90% capacity with 30 available beds as of last night. Our pediatric intensive care units are at 94% capacity. Again, this is a regional look across all systems, but we need to keep in mind that, you know, even though we might think we see a little bit of leeway there when you're talking about 85 or 90% capacity, many of our hospitals are at capacity and unable to take new patients. So then I think one of the good things that's happening here in Douglas County is our vaccination rates. So let me just get there real quick. So if you take a look at individuals 12 plus, let me just get here. You know, the last time I talked to you, individuals age 12 and older were eligible to receive vaccine. At this point in time, for those age 12 and older, we are sitting at 72.6% fully vaccinated. Since that time, of course, kids aged 5 to 11 were approved to receive vaccination. And at this point in time, we're sitting at 65.7% of our population 5 plus fully vaccinated. If you take a look at the population as a whole, which includes those that aren't eligible, then you're looking at 60.9% fully vaccinated. One of the things I did want to show you today is, you know, when you take a look at those 5 to 11s, we've provided 18,595 doses of vaccine to kids that are 5 to 11. And that represents 24% of our kids 5 to 11. And we're actually sitting now at 8.8% of them fully vaccinated because they're just now getting into the time where they can get their second dose. So, and you know, a lot of people, we've had a lot of questions about booster doses. How are we doing with booster doses in Douglas County? Those who have, we've given 99,672 boosters or third doses to Douglas County residents. I expect we're going to exceed 100,000 today. And 62% of our residents 65 and older have received their booster. And if you take a look at the, 18 plus who are all eligible for boosters, 31.7% of our population has received a booster or third dose. So I think, we're making some inroads as far as vaccinations are concerned. So clinics, we have multiple clinics that are scheduled this week. We're in several different schools, middle schools and one high school. We also have a clinic at Clare Memorial today, the health department on Wednesday, Omaha Children's Museum and Antioch Baptist Church on Friday. I did want to make a comment that Christmas in the Village went very well on Sunday or Saturday, whatever day that was. And we gave 284 doses during Christmas in the Village, and we were very excited about that. The next thing I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is Omicron. The Omicron variant has been identified now in 19 states in the United States, including Nebraska. The 6 cases of the Omicron variant that were identified in Nebraska, that was outside of the Omaha area. It was southwest of Lincoln. And these are travel-related cases, and they're all in one household. So one household member traveled the week of Thanksgiving, and the traveler was great. They got tested immediately upon return. And the local health department, which is Public Health Solutions, southwest of Lincoln, they worked quickly to get the entire family tested, as well as getting the sequencing done to determine if this was, in fact, an Omicron variant. This person was coming back into town from Nigeria. One was vaccinated out of these 6. 5 had only one, and then they weren't boosted. And 5 had COVID 1 year ago, but were not vaccinated. None of the cases have been hospitalized. So given that cases, have been found elsewhere in the United States, it's not surprising that we've seen it in Nebraska, and we're continuing to do surveillance to look for the Omicron variant. Current laboratory tests can detect the Omicron variant. Both antigen and PCR tests in our Nebraska Public Health Lab is able to sequence that variant to determine if it's Omicron. There's still some important unknowns about Omicron. There's mutations on the variant that could potentially affect transmissibility and also how severe it is. But, what we're starting to hear is that Omicron might be a little more mild, but it's also very transmissible. So we'll be getting more and more information as we go on, and we will be releasing it as we get that. Vaccination is expected to provide protection against severe disease and hospitalization, even though the protection may be less, but we don't know that at this time. So prevention measures are the same for Omicron as they are for other, the native COVID and the COVID variants. So we're sticking with our recommendations, which are, if you're vaccinated, get boosted. If you're not vaccinated, get vaccinated. Wear a mask in public indoor spaces and crowded areas with a lot of people. Stay home if you're sick and get tested, and isolate at home for that 10-day period of time if you're positive, and then follow isolation and quarantine guidelines. So that's my update for today. If you've got any questions.
Thank you, Carol. Commissioner Kavanaugh?
Thank you for this. Just a few. I think you might have mentioned this, the positivity rate.
Oh, our positivity rate is sitting right around 12 to 13 to 14%. So that again, I forgot to put that in here, that again is on our summary page, and you can see it in the right hand over here. So
Yeah,
the
I
end
see
of
that.
this,
It's just trying to get the exact number is a little.
it was, data report, it was 12%.
It looks like it's gone up a little bit
Yes.
in the last few weeks, right?
Yes.
With everything else. It looks
Yes.
like everything else.
Just like our case count has gone up.
Right. The cases, I think I heard you mention in a couple of categories, are as high as they were a year ago. Is that
Yes.
right?
The number of new cases that are being reported, especially today. We haven't had that many cases reported in a single day since since in December of 2020.
That's troubling. And did I hear you say that the highest age category of those new cases is the 20 to 34-year-olds?
Yes, that the highest proportion of new cases is in 20 to 34-year-olds. Previously, we were seeing the highest proportion in 0 to 19-year-olds, but that they've been overtaken by that 20 to 34-year-old group.
And the second highest category would be?
0 to 19.
Okay. And a portion of those are not vaccinated, the under fives are not available for vaccination yet, right?
Exactly.
So you mentioned there have been some class closures in schools around our community. Are those closures because of positive, kids have tested positive in a particular classroom?
We look for clusters or outbreaks that are associated with one another. So if we have a classroom where it appears that transmission is occurring within the classroom, and we generally look at 3 or more cases, then the recommendation is, at least in an elementary school, to shut the classroom down because the damage has already been done. I mean, there's already been potential transmission occurring. When it happens at the middle and the high school level, it's recommended that close contacts who are not vaccinated, that they should remain at home for a period of time, for the quarantine, until such time that they either test negative or they fulfill a full 10 days of quarantine. So high school and elementary are handled a little different because elementary kids are together in the same classroom for an extended length of time.
And has that phenomena of class closure gone up as well?
We saw quite a few class closures occurring like right before Thanksgiving and right after Thanksgiving. This week, when you came back after Thanksgiving, it's very difficult to determine after people have gathered with their families and done big events if the transmission is actually occurring in the schools. So we're watching that very closely. We have not had any this week, but that doesn't mean that that's not going to happen.
And usually,
1 minute.
My colleague Commissioner Boyle goes into this, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the hospital situation, the ventilator situation. We might have to come back in the second part, but it looks like, I think you said many of our hospitals are at capacity right now.
And having difficulty either accepting transfers or getting people into a room. So there's much longer waits in the ER. And the rooms will open up intermittently during the day, but it's just, they just don't have enough beds.
So based on these two graphs, it looks like our overall Metro Omaha hospital occupancy rate may be knocking on the door of an all-time high. Is that right?
Could be. It obviously dropped a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, and it seesaws, yeah. So it's higher than it has been. Now remember, that's among staffed beds.
We'll come back. Thank you.
No other lights? Commissioner Kavanaugh?
So in addition to that very high hospital occupancy rate in our community, the patients in the metropolitan area hospitals on ventilators has spiked as well, right?
Exactly.
So
we're similar to what you were seeing in December of last year.
Okay. The policies that you outlined regarding the recommendations of what we should do are, above all, get vaccinated. And if you're vaccinated, get your booster shot if you're eligible for that. And then, as far as the mask policy goes, could you outline us for us, what the mask policy that you're recommending is?
We're consistent with the CDC on the unmasking. And we recommend as a health department that if you are indoors or in crowded spaces, that you do wear a mask.
So in this facility, for instance, you would recommend masks?
If you're in a more of a crowded place,
right.
Where there's other
through
people.
This facility, the Civic Center, the courthouse, it's, relatively crowded as a busy place, people going in and out all the time. You recommend wearing masks?
Like I said, we're consistent with the CDC's recommendation on that.
And in these offices that we have all throughout this building, which are pretty, enclosed and fully staffed, you'd recommend wearing masks?
Are you talking about an individual office, or are you talking about
the offices in this facility in the Civic Center?
that accept, clients walking in, correct?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, do they have clients or they have just?
Yeah, well, I'm just
full
trying to understand whether you're asking about a person in an individual office where they work themselves, or if you're talking about office as in
Is there a
vital
distinction
records.
between, crowded offices and crowded offices that are open to the public?
No.
Okay. Offices that have full staffs and are open to the public should wear masks, right?
In indoor places. And this is a recommendation until you drop below substantial levels. To get into the moderate level, we would have to get down to just a little, right around 570 cases per day. Sorry, I'm on the wrong one. We'd have to get into this moderate level when you make a change on masking, because masking is recommended in areas of high transmission and substantial transmission. And it would take us to be having like 550, 570 cases per day or per week reported to drop us down into that moderate category.
Right. So we're in the high category now, which would
Yes.
indicate, do all these things. Get vaccinated, get your booster, wear a mask, stay at home if you're sick, get tested, stay in isolation for 10 days.
If
all
you're
of that. Right. Going forward, I know that it's early days in terms of this new variant, but is there anything different that that we should be doing based on the new variant?
At this point in time, we're making the same standard recommendations that you just reiterated. And if anything changes, we would, let people know. But that's where we're at this point in time.
1 minute.
Sure. We're coming into the holiday seasons. I mean, actually, we're in the holiday seasons, and I think that, probably some of this is related to people got together at Thanksgiving time. We see this, when people do that. Is there anything special about the holiday upcoming that we should observe to be as careful as possible and try to slow the spread of the pandemic?
I think, just the standard things we talked about. And then if you're having a large gathering, you as a group could decide, we'll test before there's testing available for at-home tests. And if people are really concerned about it, they could ask the people who are gathering together to have a test prior to their gathering.
Okay. There is, I believe, some vaccination requirements coming down from the federal level. Are those?
Time.
We'll come back. Thank you.
No, that's it for lights. I just want to reiterate what Carol said in terms of your recommendations. We cannot mandate, we have not mandated anyone to wear a mask or get vaccinated, but we strongly encourage that as recommendations that we follow from the CDC.
That's exactly right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Thanks for being here. With that, we will move to committees. The first is the Finance Committee with just the budget report as presented. We then have the Human Resources, which is the weekly personnel report from Civil Service as presented. We have a resolution approving the Douglas County's preliminary 2020 legislative priorities. We had a committee meeting to go over those, and this again is just the preliminary ones, those that were carryovers, if you will, from the previous session, and then our two new legislative items that we'll be working on. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Rogers, seconded by Commissioner Morgan. Any questions or comments? Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
Next is a resolution setting the salaries for various Douglas County elected officials. And this resolution is listed below, represents a 3.5% increase each year for the next 4 years. And this is for the county attorney, the county sheriff, the county assessor register of deeds, the county engineer, the county clerk, and the county treasurer. Is there a motion to approve? Any question? There's a motion by Commissioner Rogers, seconded by Commissioner Friend. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Kavanaugh?
Thank you. Just so the public is aware, these two items have what you could call fiscal impact. So I'd ask, I think, Joe, you have these numbers. The amount requested for the resolution setting the salaries for various Douglas County elected officials. What's the amount of that request, Joe? Oh, Patrick?
It's just 3.5% of their salaries. I've not been asked to calculate what the economic impact of the elected officials' salary increases would be, so we don't have that information.
I thought we went over this in the pre-board hearing yesterday and had a number of approximately the economic impact of this.
I think that was for the non-union.
Yeah, that was for the second agenda item.
Okay. Then on that second agenda item, what would that amount be, setting the salaries?
1.6 million.
Thank you.
And as I was reading off the elected officials that we're setting, it's not the county clerk, it's the clerk of the district court. Larry?
Larry Store, 5015 Lafayette, 68132. I'd like to point out under your legislative agendas that there apparently has been a change in the Nebraska legislature rules for citizen input. You can find that change on their website about public hearings. I'd like you to read that because it sort of goes in the face of a lot of the rules that we have in this chamber as well as the city council in regards to citizens appearing.
And I appreciate that, and I'm sorry that I didn't get you, but we're past that item.
But the implications are it's maybe something that you need to consider here.
We will definitely
Also,
look at that.
And the implication is that citizens should be able to have back and forth.
Okay, thank you.
Whereas the things that are written on your documents in the city council implies
Right.
you guys do not want to have back and forth with citizens.
Thank you, Larry.
But they are inviting us to do
Larry,
that, so maybe we
you're
should
out
do
of
that
order
here.
now, Larry.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With that, we have a motion and a second to approve item 3, the salaries for the various Douglas County elected officials. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
The next resolution is setting the calendar year 2022 wage increases for various non-union county employees. And this is, again, a 3.5% wage increase. again, for those non-union employees. And this would be non-union step plan employees, county employees who are on the county's non-union wage plan, the sheriff captains and district court bailiffs, the district court and juvenile court full and part-time non-union county employees who are not on a step, the CMHC, our Community Mental Health Center medical director, and all board certified psychiatrists that are employed by our Community Mental Health Center, the county attorney and public defender employees, and the chief deputies, elected officials, chief deputies shall receive the following increases in pay. This was after in consultation with each one of these elected officials. The assessor register of deeds, 3.5, county attorney, chief deputy, 4, the engineer, 3.5, the sheriff, 3.5, the treasurer, 7%, the clerk of the district court, 3.5, and the clerk comptroller, 3.5. With that, is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Rogers, second by Commissioner Morgan. Any questions or comments on these salary settings? Seeing none, please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.
We do have need for an executive session for legal advice and contract negotiations. Is there a motion to go into executive session for those purposes?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Rogers, second by Commissioner Friend. Please vote.
Motion passes 6-0.